out the fight, yeah, bring on all the lightning. Cause I'm looking for a hero, look inside the mirror, I find one. Oh, carry the hurt when it gets too hard, pick it up, dust it off. When I fall down 11, I get up 12, don't need nobody else. Yeah, I can save myself.
Hello, bold listeners, and welcome back. I'm Mackenzie Gosselin, your host of the Be Bold podcast, and today we're sat with Brandi Clarke from Brandi Clarke Consulting, who's joining us on the couch today to talk about her journey in being bold and all things lifestyle and business. So, Brandi, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So Brandi has joined us as a sponsor for Be Bold, and I wanted to first kind of give you the floor to talk a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what you're passionate about.
Oh, goodness. Hey.
Hey.
Brandi Clarke, a little bit about me.
You're so cool. You know that?
Oh, am I?
Yeah. Brandi Clarke.
Brandi Clarke, yes.
Good energy.
I've got my Be Bold swag on as well, which I'm a big supporter. So I'm a recovering executive. That's a fun way to say it.
That is a fun way to say it.
Lifelonger corporate being, which I loved for many, many, many years. And almost a year ago now, so we're going to have to go out and celebrate a 1-year party, I decided to reinvent my life and go out on my own. So I took a little trip overseas, did my Bali yoga, soul searching. I like to call that my spiritual reset. So I could step into the next phase of my life. And that is a multi-passionate approach to business and lifestyle and integrating my passions, which still is corporate to a certain extent,
Yep.
But empowering women, empowering people in general, which is part of the reason why I'm here as part of the Be Bold campaign, focusing on wellness, balance, boundaries, and a fulsome experience as I move into the next stage of my life and seeing how I can bring that forward for other people as well.
That's awesome. So Be Bold is very much about women empowerment in support of the London Abused Women's Centre and just all marginalized communities, really, and just giving people a voice, and not just a voice, but giving them like the community that's going to support them and be the wind in their sail to kind of like follow their fire and stick with it, right? So we know that business, whether it's corporate or owning your own business, can be a little lonely, and there's a lot of struggles and ups and downs, right? So this Be Bold thing is about creating that community that's going to uplift them and be kind of the listening ear and give the resources. So that's what Be Bold's about. And I wanted to kind of ask you and put you on the spot here and say, like, what about your business really jives with that? And why was this the right thing to support?
So first of all, I think that investing in community is so important, and things like the London Abused Women's Centre and the other really incredible community resources that we have here in London, Ontario is so important. And so being able to be involved in something that will uplift people, support them, engage them, show them some love, I think is really important. So it aligned with me in that sense. I have been involved in women's charities for a number of years now, so it's near and dear to my heart. It's also something, it's so fascinating. I'm not originally from London, but seeing the love and the connection to community and the philanthropy in this city is just unreal.
It's unmatched. And people don't know about it. Myself being one of these people not that long ago, I had no idea the doors that would be open in the communities within London. Like, I'm from London, born and raised, and like the Chamber of Commerce, like drove by that building all day, every day. Like I had no idea what that was. I had no idea what these communities were and what doors were going to open. So I think it's important to share that with the listeners and people in London, that there's a lot of things that you can get involved in and align yourself with. So
Absolutely. And some people think that maybe they don't have the goods or the energy, or I'm not the right person to show up. And that's what I like to do in my business, is help people show up in really beautiful and unique ways and help them understand what their superpowers are, peel it back, where are your passions, because we all have something to offer. And it's not necessarily, it doesn't need to be monetary, physically donating to a charity. But if you feel passionate about something, show up in any way, whether it's animals and walking them, it just... whether it's art, it doesn't matter what it is, but sharing yourself in a beautiful way. And I like to bring that into my business practice of helping people shine bright. And that, to me, is what Be Bold stands for as well, us shining bright together as a community.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So let's dive into who you are and all your trades and all the things that you do. So I've come to know all of this by like networking with you, getting to know you on a personal level. And by doing your rebrand was a big one as well. We got to like work through all of that and all the different mosaic things that you are and how we represent that in a brand was really cool to navigate. But Brandi, you, and correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, but you are an abstract artist, local artist.
Yeah.
Is it abstract only?
Yes.
Or it is abstract only?
You don't want
Not
to,
only, but
I don't do realism.
Okay,
No, that
you
I
couldn't
cannot
paint a portrait of this?
No,
Oh.
not even a tree. Like I just can't do any of it. But
I love it.
I can look at you, and you know what? This will be my task after this. I will create a
Oh,
piece
gosh.
that is representative of Mackenzie.
Okay.
Because this is already
Is this not it?
well, no, because this is Be Bold, and this is Merlot Moon. It's got a lot of layers there, but I'll do one that reflects you.
So for those who aren't watching the video and are listening in the car or wherever they are right now, behind us in our studio space is an amazing painting that Brandi created for us with all of our Be Bold colors and textures, and it's absolutely beautiful. So for those who are watching, this is it. For those who are listening, check it out. We'll post it on our social media as well if it's not already up there. But we will be auctioning off to raise some more funds for the charity, right? So if it's something that would fit and jive and bring some color to your life, this is it. So reach out. I'm just going to plug that in here right now. But going back, so abstract artist and leadership and wellness is a big part of what you do as well, right? So can you talk a little bit about that piece?
Sure. So in my consulting company, I work with organizations about bringing wellness and conscious leadership to the workplace. So people might think, wellness, what is that? Or it's sort of woo-woo. Are you teaching everyone yoga in their corporate corner office? And the answer to that is no, I'm not.
Okay, sorry. I got to be transparent here. I'm laughing because you use the word woo-woo like all the time, and now it's part of my vocabulary.
But it's a thing. It's funny when I went out on my own because I was corporate, like the suits, the stilettos, and I still love those things. And actually, I sort of miss them, but I'm also really enjoying my sweatshirt right now because it's allowing me to peel back the armor and the layer and really be true to who I am. And in my organization now, I do that with leaders. I help them show up as their authentic self. I help them understand the power of no. We've discussed before in our networking that no is a complete sentence. Michelle Obama recently did an interview. She said the same thing. It is a complete sentence. So I don't work exclusively with women, but my clients tend to be women to help for me to support them in being their bold self or showing up as themselves, giving themselves permission to do things that perhaps may not be the typical norm. And when people look at me, we just discussed, I have all these buckets, right? For so many years, I thought, what is wrong with me, right? Is there something wrong that I can't focus in all of these areas? But our corporate world and society, in many cases, in my experience, okay, so this is through my lens, is that it's very linear. And it can be very rigid, the corporate world. But the reality is that we're organic, exciting, incredible beings, and we're constantly changing and moving. But organizations, some of them do, so not painting them all with the same abstract stroke. But the reality is that a lot of them, they want you to develop certain behaviors, act a certain way. And the moment you step outside of that, you're a risk or you're too much. And I like being a lot, and I like to be able to create spaces where women can be a lot. Now, what I want to say, though, is everybody has what they need inside of them already. I'm not giving anyone a magic pill. I'm simply working with them to help them shine in a really beautiful way.
I love it.
In a non-linear way.
What you just said about too much, right? The concept of being too much. It's a concept women get a lot. It's a concept like business owners get a lot, but I'm going to go the woman route right now. That was something, I mean, speaking from my personal experience growing up, I was always too much, right? And like when you're a little girl, like what the hell does that mean? I'm too much. Well, you're not enough, right? Like part of me would always feel like I needed to defend that. And then part of me ran scared of it. And I've gone through all the different ups and downs with the label of too much. So I think you're the one to have this conversation with because I know you've got some opinions on it and some experiences about it. But what would you say to somebody who's a leader that is just being like painted as too much? Is it that they don't have the leadership skills developed yet to really hone in and like guide properly with all the energy and passion that they have? Or is it just they're in the wrong circle?
They're likely in the wrong circle. Yeah. And some organizations enjoy when people are too much and they create spaces, but still within a bit of a framework. Okay, you can be a lot, but we'll expand those boundaries of that bubble a little bit and you can bounce around in it. And that's, something that inspired me to be an entrepreneur is that I was creating my space and I was going to be a lot in my own space. And there was no one to tell me that I was anything less or more. Now, society constantly creates constructs for women. You're too masculine. You're too feminine. Your hair should be long. Your hair should be short. Yes, no, yes, no. It's stifling. And I think that we're continuing to evolve as a society, as a community. People are having these conversations, but it's disheartening and it's challenging. So recently, I'm going to sound a bit like a loser, but I hadn't heard the song Messy by Lola Young.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
I was like, you could never be a loser, but like, I think you just,
Yeah, I know. Okay. So my sister-in-law introduced me to the song like a few weeks ago. And I was like, this is it. This is sort of like the Barbie monologue in radio version, that you're one thing, but then you're something else. And what I would say to people when they're told that they're too bold, then you're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
Yes. Shine brighter. I'm a lot for you. Let me show you what's next. Take it to the next level and be unapologetic, and know that being multi-passionate and multifaceted and having all of these interests, it doesn't make you weak. It makes you interesting.
Yeah.
And what more would you want, right? To learn, to be creative, to experiment, to push boundaries. To me, that's an exciting place to be.
So let's dive into like the personal aspect of that and relationships and what that all looks like, right? So yes, a business owner and someone who's going to make a lot of money and blaze trails is going to be a lot. It's going to be too much. And sometimes that's a little bit more understood. But when we're talking like relationships, women, dynamics like that, and I know you know where I'm going with this just because we've had this conversation a few times, but what are the people in your life like? What are the men in your life like? What are the other women in your life like? Are they supportive? Are they not, like, do they just let you do your thing over there and they just kind of let you come back when you're ready? Or is it very collaborative? What does it look like?
So I think that one of the exciting thing about being an entrepreneur, so I'm going back to work for just a second, is that you can choose who your soul people are.
Yeah.
In the corporate world, you can't. You're stuck working with all of these people or these clients. That's just the way it is. But you get, in the entrepreneurial space, you get to choose who your people are. And I think that that's one of the things that brought us here, right?
Yeah.
We get to choose to work together. You didn't have to ask me to be here. I didn't have to choose to be here. Yeah. It's because there's an alignment, there's a light, there's an energy that's working. So fast forward that to the people in your life. It can be hard for women to shut down's not the right word. Create a boundary of those naysayers.
Yeah.
Like, ooh,
disassociate a little or give
do
it
you really want to
distance?
quit your corporate job to become an entrepreneur? Are you mental? The answer is, maybe a little bit, but I need your support, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to create a space around yourself to say, I need to do this. I need you to support me as best you can. And if you can't, that's fine, but you need to keep those opinions to yourself. Yeah. I think, again, it comes finding that light, those soul people, whatever you want to call it. Again, that's the woo-woo side of it. Yeah. But people that connect with your energy, they either lift you up or they drag you down, right? My partner, I didn't marry until very late in life because I didn't find the right person. And he is just as much like a lot as I'm just as much a lot. And together, I think that we shine really bright, and for some people, it's too much for them.
But for some people, like, you put a driving force in a driving force, and it's a boom, right? Like, for some people, it doesn't work too, right? Like, some people, it's the perfect recipe. Like, we're both a lot, we get it, we can jive. And then some people, it's like, it's a no because there's too much energy, and you're combative. So like, for someone who's like entering into entrepreneurship and starting to become too much and lean into themselves and really follow their fire and be a lot, right? You outgrow people in doing that, and that's okay. It's supposed to happen. Yeah. But I guess where I'm going with this is like, how do you navigate that? Because I do feel you've done a very good job at doing that over corporate, interior wellness, leadership, all the things that you do. Like, that is one thing that I feel you're very solid footing at is staying true to yourself and knowing that version changes. It impacts your circle too. But that's hard. It's hard to hear that you're too much. Like, you've changed. Yeah, we know we've changed for the better. But how do you navigate that with people that you love or people that have been in your life for a long time? And
yeah, so there's a few things there, but you had mentioned that you mentioned self-awareness. Yeah. Right? And self-awareness is really important, right? I think the more people know about themselves and the more they look inward, the better they become. You can shine light on those dark places that maybe you were ignoring before, and when you're an entrepreneur, and you're evolving and
There's
changing.
no hiding.
There is no hiding. So, and to my business, I work with people on their personality assessments, and I peel that back. And what could be our superpower today could also be hurting us. So what does that look like? And learning how to sort of not necessarily round out our sharp edges, because sometimes sharp edges, they're needed, right?
Yeah,
We understand the whole owl was up thing. But really having that willingness to learn about yourself and explore that honestly. And it can be painful, but it's necessary to grow and evolve as a person and as a business owner. And having those conversations with the people in your life as well. There's been friction with my family and the people that I love dearly because they thought I was totally going off the rails because I was following what I knew to be true and following my gut. And that's another thing. I think for women in society, we're told not to trust our gut. We're supposed to trust what other people tell us.
So funny because Craig from Blue Elephant was just sat here earlier this morning, and his whole point was follow your gut. That was his piece of advice, was follow your gut. And for some people, it's so easy. Like that's exactly the right piece of advice, is just follow your gut. Like, and I believe that for sure. But your gut can also, as a woman too, lead you, like, be confusing, be like, we're high emotion one day, depending on the time of the month. We talk about this a lot. Sometimes you just need to say no that week, and that's okay, right? And like people, you know, that whole saying of like, I got this piece of advice not even that long ago, I want to say a couple months ago, and it was like, think like a man. It was like, think like a man. And part of me, I'm not going to lie, appreciated the hell out of that. I was like, okay, I'm going to think like a man. And then the other part of me was like, no, we're going to think like a woman because that's going to get shit done. Yeah. And it's going to do it right, and it's going to do it at 110%. Yeah. So it made me think of that with the gut thing of just like, because our guts are more intuitive. I think
so. Yeah, the feminine energy that we bring, but we could talk forever about this, and I'm sure other people have thoughts on it that may be listening. But having a feminine energy and a strong feminine energy, and so many communities have a matriarchal society. We don't live in one of those, and in many cases, that's been eroded over hundreds and hundreds of years of again.
Yeah.
Go right turn. We could go any number of ways. But the reality is that if we can give ourselves the space to trust ourselves and question ourselves in a meaningful way and be able to differentiate what's right and what's wrong, we're not always going to be perfect. But I think that it is important to follow your gut. And it's something that I'm still continuing to find out. I'm like, is that heartburn? Did I drink too much Prosecco? I don't know. Am I just hungry? Yeah. Or is this the right thing? Yeah. But when you start to tune into those sort of frequencies, you really understand like, whoa, this is a bad energy. Like I know when I go into a studio, because now I also teach yoga. Yeah. I teach yoga at the very building that I constructed, which is so ironic because people were like, are you sure that you can walk through that door? You used to be an executive, but now you're a yogi. And I was like, winning in life. Yeah. Look at me. I love this. But I can walk into a space and be like, ooh, the energy is off. How do we work with people? How do we get them to really find a flow and honor where they are today?
Yeah. So I guess that just sparked a question for me to ask you is like, how do you know? Like, how do you know it's the right move to make? Like, how do you know you've had enough in a corporate job and you're ready to do your own thing? Like, I know there's that whole notion of like, just start, just do it, just whatever you've got the hunch, just go. But like, there is a lot of back and forth. Let's be honest. There's a lot of decision making that's involved. And like, what would you say to somebody who's like sitting here listening, saying, I kind of want to start my own business. I don't know what it is, but I want to, and I'm like ready for it. Like, what's the next step? Like, how did you know? What's your experience in that? Like,
so it was. For a number of years, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I'd never been an entrepreneur, so I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know where to go, and I didn't know where I can make money versus not. And I guess the first notion that I learned about entrepreneurship is it's not about making money; it's about following your heart and passion. Because if you just want to make money, you could stay exactly where you are and just be fine, right? So tapping into your needs and desires and figuring out what those are. I worked with an incredible career coach. I would happy to plug that, but I won't here. But the advice from her and many other people is that once you sort of identify that you've got a multi-passionate side, and most of us do, then start to launch it outside of business hours. That's the reality. You don't want to interfere with what you're doing, but people have to pay their rent. They need to pay their mortgage. So that's the sensible thing to do.
Logical. Yeah, it is.
It is the logical thing. Now, I knew that I wanted to start creating art. I knew, and I was creating art for a number of years, but I was afraid to put it out in the world because of the judgment. Now, Mel Robbins said that she waited years and years before she even started using her socials, even after speaking, because she was afraid to put it on social media that people would criticize her. So my first step is I had my corporate job, but I opened up an Instagram account for my art. And I was like, people are going to hate it, but they didn't hate it. And so for me, little by little, I started to move forward and overcome the fear, right? So not a formal side hustle, but let's just dip our toe in this water. Let's dip our toe in this water. And it took me almost a year and a half to finally make the transition. But it was little by little, but I was listening to my heart and I knew that it felt right. It was scary.
Yeah.
Because growth is scary. You have to push past fear. And oftentimes we stay stuck because we're stuck in a fear-based mindset.
Yeah. It's really true. Like, and the whole part of like sitting on this couch and talking about this is to like explain different ways of doing it. Like there's no right way.
No.
There's going to be somebody that sits here and tells me that they just started. They just pulled the trigger and went for it and dove in head first. There's other people that, you know, like yourself, it took the year of just dipping your toe and seeing if it was right for you. Is this something that I'm going to want to follow? Like there's literally no right way. And I think that that's what we're trying to say here. My bold decision is different than yours. And it's different than Matt sitting here recording, right? It's completely different for everybody. And that's the sense of community that we're building, is sharing that unique story. So I think that's why I asked, right? Like I wanted to hear what worked for you. And
and it didn't always work for me, and there's still elements that I'm learning. But to your point, honoring people's independent journeys, it's so exciting. Like we're part of a networking group, and to see the diversity of the group and the way that the women's businesses work and their approach to business, I love it. It's so exciting, but there is no right and wrong answer. And so we should reserve our judgments. And as women and as society, this is a person's journey, and let's just honor them and meet them where they are, wherever that is.
I've actually come, like speaking of that networking group, I've actually come to the realization it's almost, I know the different hats and the different industries and the different way people do business in that room. And sometimes when there's a spark question asked, one person answers and I'm like waiting to get the perspective of someone else because I know it's going to be a little more edgy or it's going to be a little bit different, right? And that's what's helping me grow, is to kind of tap into like hearing different, whether it's their industry or their different like journeys, right? How what's shaped them to like think the way that they do. And it's cool. Like it's really cool. So I wanted to ask you before we wrap up here, one of the really burning questions I have for you was like, just through all your knowledge and everything we've already talked about today and what you do for a living, like the leadership piece and your background in corporate and diving into the wellness and leadership, what makes a good leader? Like what makes, I'm not a business owner, but what makes a good leader?
I think there's any number of things, and there's scientific backing, and there's research that could speak to what an appropriate leader is. But I believe that a leader that understands themselves and knows who they are, they understand what the triggers are, they understand what their boundaries are. I think it's important to be transparent about those.
Yeah.
That's very important. But to treat individuals like individuals and humans.
Yeah.
Right? We're not robots, but this is a word that's used so much. You know, be authentic or vulnerable, all of those fun little buzzwords. But the reality is that if you show up and check the ego, and you really are connecting with people on a human level, that authenticity, that's it.
Yeah, that's a good leader.
Don't like bowl people over. You don't need to be unnecessarily aggressive. Park the ego and just show up and be like, hey, I'm here, you're here, what can we do together? And as a leader, and it's a servant-based leadership model, is what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I lift you up? How can I open doors and remove barriers so that you can step through?
There's something so beautiful about that, though.
Yeah.
Like that leading is actually like giving back, like supporting someone else and finding what makes, like I do it with my own team. Like what makes you really good? And like, let's dive into that. What makes you feel good? What makes you feel better? Because if that's all there, you're going to do a lot for me in the business too, right? Like it's that is leadership in terms of entrepreneurship, but finding people's strengths, like looking outward. I think a lot of leaders look inward at what can I like, and I think if you can look outward at the people that you're leading, you're off to something.
Well, a lot of leaders lead with ego. So just parking that. You're not, when you have a team, there's a shared goal and there's a shared direction. If there's not, then that's a problem, right? But ideally you have the right people on the team and it's the whole boat, you're rowing in the same direction. You're in it together.
It's awesome.
And that's really beautiful.
So anybody listening that is thinking of, making a bold decision, lifestyle, personal, in a business, wants to step out, doesn't know if it's the right timing, what is something you would say to them? Like, what is your piece of advice, whether it's for your old self or for this person listening? Like, what's your, I don't want to say one-liner, but like, what's your nugget of that you would leave us off with?
I was going to say, call me. But
yeah, and absolutely.
You can do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So anybody listening, everybody on this couch, I am so confident is part of the community here in London and would be more than happy to walk you through, reach out, connect with you on social media and online. So absolutely, Brandi Clarke, she follow her, connect with her. I think you're that's what we're doing here, is creating a community for people to have us as resources as well. But what's the nugget?
My advice.
Yeah.
So nugget. Here, one thing that's worked for me is I was never a big journaler. And I'm not going to suggest that you get up every single morning and do it. But there were moments in my life where I was like, so my first wellness retreat that I went to, for example, I journaled and I put my clear goals down on that. And then X months later, I went back to it. And it helped me reframe or reaffirm, if you will, where my priorities were. Like, okay, there's where I was in that specific moment, and here's where I am right now. And what does that mean? Do I still have a yearning? Do I still have a connection? So I say journaling, but that really comes down. It is either a visualization board or putting your goals in front and working towards them. If you want something, like when I finally went live with Brandi Clarke, just as an example, I had written it about a year previous, and then a few months later in another journal, and then another journal. I'm like, oh, that's not changing. I need to do that. My soul is telling me I need to explore this. So what? I guess write it down and work towards it.
Yeah, I love
Visualize it.
Visualize it. Yeah,
more than one word.
It.
Manifest. Again, another word.
Womanifest that shit.
I love it. I haven't heard that yet.
I think I dropped like 6 swear words, but it's fine.
It's okay.
Bold.
It's okay. Bold. Be bold. But yeah, put it down and put yourself out there. Just push past the fear. What's the worst thing someone's going to say to you? You suck? Who cares?
I tried. Did you? Like, it's a recurring theme in these episodes. It's just like successful people tried one more time. They got up and tried one more time. They failed. Like, they failed one more time than you failed. That's really it. Like, we fail until we don't fail.
And you're always on the cusp. Like, it was a few weeks ago. I was ready to throw it all in, right? Yeah. So that's the other thing, is having that network of people, because I had said to you, like, I don't know, we did the rebranding. I'm not sure that I can do that. Yeah. And know that the people around you, if you look at them and you think they're successful, they're still going through it too.
Yeah.
Again, it's that humanity and that connection and being there for each other.
And if you set the next goal in the next bar, you're going to feel like you're all new again. All the insecurities, all the self-doubt's gonna come back up again, right? People think that, like, once you've started the business, like, you're on top of the world, you know what you're doing. Not true.
No.
This is like my first podcast and I'm really nervous. I have sweaty hands, but you would, like, you're doing it. It's new for me again, right? But that's the whole point, is finding people that, let you feel comfortable and unsafe and, like, still help you through it. So that's what we're here for. I love it. I love that we've connected. I'm so happy that you're a part of the Be Bold. And we're a resource for those that are looking to be bold and step out. Brandi Clarke, leadership guru at this point. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. And can I just say, like, I don't know if it's fair for me to say this word. I think it makes me feel really old, but, like, I'm really proud of what you're doing. Even in the year that we've known each other, you were, like, moving and shaking and making things happen, and you're being very bold and going after it.
I'm not going to cry. I said I wasn't going to cry.
Hustle. You have it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.